Thank you. All right, chat. We got our guests on stream today. Unmuting, we've got Mr. Scooter Dom and Mr. Tony Curato. For those of you guys who are new to this segment of our stream, this is called the exhibition. This is the third month that we've done this with Lens Rental. Lens Rental is kind enough to send us out 2 gift cards for these 2 participants. They rented the same lens, which is this big honking lens over here, the Sigma Art 105 1.4. And so they spent a weekend with it, shooting photos, lining up models to shoot with, doing their best to use this lens to the best of its ability. Did not have previous experience using this lens, so it was their first time experience with it. So we get to hear all about their stories and what it was like working with this lens. I know this is Scooter Dom's second time. I mean, he's worked with them a lot. Tony, you've used lens rentals before?
Nah, I've used other lens rental companies, but I've never used lens rentals. So
okay, so we'll get the details on that once we get into it. So if you guys want to check out Lens Rental, we are affiliated with them, so please use our link there. You guys can also use code TLDA15 to get 15% off your orders. That pretty much helps you with shipping and stuff, which is awesome because they get the lens to you quick. Usually they get it to you like the night before or even the day before sometimes, so you have like a little extra time before your lens rental, your rental time. And then to ship it back, they make it super simple. You could be out in the field, just have your box, a piece of tape, slap it on, you're good to go. Tony, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing well. Why don't you just introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what are you doing here, how long you been in photography, all that good stuff.
Sure. Tony Curato, Truevisionphotos. I've been doing photography over 15 years, I guess now. Kind of dabbled in most of the portraits, weddings, all that wonderful stuff, but kind of settled on landscapes and that kind of stuff in the last few years. Obviously, astrophotography is a big passion of mine these days. So yeah, I mean, it was fun doing this with the lens and stuff. So I'm looking forward to it.
Chat, give it up for Tony. Mr. Scooter Dom, going to you, my friend.
My name's Dominic. Go by Scooter Dom on Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, just about anywhere, even video games. Kind of been my handle forever. I've been in photography since about 2016. Really enjoyed it. I love it a lot. I took it on from a friend of mine who got me into it. I'd always wanted a camera, didn't ever have one. Then one day, met him, started just following him around with his camera, and I fell in love with it and did whatever I could to get a camera and made it happen. I started taking a ton of photos and made work out of it in college, which was a great way to make money during that time. And then as time progressed, it helped me meet a bunch of people. I met my fiance through photography. It's been a huge passion of mine. Getting the chance to use other lenses, so particularly this lens, was very exciting. This 105 1.4 is a lens I've always wanted to try. Lenses with that kind of focal length are way different to use with, and I've always wanted to try. And I definitely struggled with it. I had over 1,200 photos, and it was so hard to pick which one, but mostly because a lot of them were garbage because of how they were composed or framed, and there are very specific ways to use this lens, and maybe I'll talk about that more once we show the photos. But definitely an interesting lens to use, a very specific lens, very specific lens, which I learned.
I got it mixed up. I thought this was a macro lens, but it turns out it's not, right?
We almost picked a macro lens. We almost did, but we stuck with just normal portrait lens. That's
what I got confused with, because I remember we were talking in our group chat and the macro kept on coming up. But yeah, and plus I have a 105 macro, so I was like confused, and then I was like, oh wait, I shouldn't be saying it's a macro, it's just a 105 lens. So this thing was honking. This one was big.
Oh my gosh.
Tony, you ever used a lens like this before?
Yeah, I mean, not a 105 prime particularly, but one of my favorite lenses, right, that I still have is a 70-200, the Canon 2.8.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty similar in size. And I do have a 300 f4 prime that has that lens mount as well. So
let's talk about what you guys' plans were and what your original plans were for the shoot, what you had set up, all that stuff, and we'll go to Tony.
Yeah, so I mean, this is in doing some research on the lens. I guess it's called the King of Portraits. So portraits was kind of what I wanted to do. Obviously, I've got I chose one picture of, I did some photos with my dog, and then I have a friend who rescued a dog and is training him to try and adopt him out. So he's been bugging me to do some pictures for that dog, so I did some for him. And then the landscape stuff, I've shot landscape with my 70-200 before. It's a very, you know, kind of what Scooter Dom was going into. It's very, you have to have a purpose. You have to know, you know, your shot and what you're looking at doing. So I wanted to do some portraits. There's a historical town about 10 minutes from me that it kind of has a ghost townish feel. Figured we were in fall. I wanted to do kind of a cool fallish, kind of weird theme, and had a couple models back out on me. So I ended up just going there and doing landscape stuff. And definitely a challenge that it was a more confined area, a little bit tighter than I thought it was going to be. So with that focal length and with the 100, it was a little bit more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it also gave me the ability to play with that depth of field, which is also what this lens is really known for. Having some really nice bokeh and kind of blurring out foreground, background, and that kind of stuff. So it gave me the ability to test that out and see. So
what was your initial reaction when you took your first couple shots? Were you like, wow, this is nice?
It's definitely sharp. Yeah, it's definitely sharp. And it really has some great bokeh. I mean, this is my first art series lens. I've been meaning to try them out for a while. So yeah, it was really good to try them out. But man, the sharpness and that kind of stuff was incredible.
Yeah, and you know, considering your normal line of work, would you rent this lens again, or this is not necessarily for what you do with landscapes and stuff like that?
I would, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of more with the Astro stuff these days, looking at like 35 to 85.
Yeah.
105 is a little long, but if I was going to do portraits, I certainly would.
Do you have a portrait lens?
That's what I use the 70-200 for. The 70-200 2.8 is a pretty good utility lens to do portraits and stuff like that.
So this would be kind of just more for fun, really. You have your practical lens that, you know, you don't really need to replace or anything like that. And if you were to rent something like this, it would just be more for fun and specialized and stuff. So that's what I was wondering, Ray, is like, I wonder what this 105 would look like with Astro, you know? Like, the thing with Astro that's really cool is, like, I like the wide angle lenses for Astro photos, but when you have the cool long primes, you know, just like focus the spot in the sky, they can come out pretty good. Yeah. And
I wanted to give it a shot, but we are kind of done with Milky Way season at this point. And I did, you know, I had it was mostly cloudy for the weekend. I had the lens. So venturing out, I mean, I've got to go probably, I've got a 2-hour trip to get somewhere where I can do, you know, night stuff. So with the weather and kind of the timing, it just didn't really work out to give it a test. But I was kind of hoping to do that, but it just didn't work out.
Well, I appreciate you getting out there, and, you know, even though your model had flaked out on you and stuff like that, the images that you sent in, awesome. And it's cool because we don't really get to see this side of your work, you know? Usually it's all just like your landscapes and stuff like that. And then when I got your photos in, I was like, oh, dang. All right. This guy's a photographer. I think it's like any genre you touch, you put out some good stuff, which is awesome. Scooter, what was your plan for this exhibition? You having, you know, been on last month, you know, I want to hear about your experience being back for the second time. What was different this go around, all that good stuff.
So this time around, you know, I was excited to try to get to use a lens with a larger focal length, which luckily we were able to do. And, you know, the plan for it, I actually had no plan for the longest time. It was very difficult for me to figure out how to use it because, you know, a lot of my photography that I kind of push towards is definitely not landscapes to Tony's degree, but try to do some sort of landscape with a focal point, but also action photography. And I didn't have the ability to plan in Denver. I don't know enough people yet to plan out a real action shoot at a skate park or with certain athletes. So I wasn't able to get that done. I trying to figure out how to weave that together. And then it kind of came together talking with Gavin and seeing if she wanted to go just take some photos and plan some outfits out. And, you know, she was eager. She had just been, you know, following some new people that she was liking how they were styling their photos and was like, let's just go try to do some of this stuff with it and have fun and not try to plan too much out. So, you know, we just spent some time planning out a bunch of outfits of hers, picked some locations in Boulder, Colorado, and just went with it. You know, I just tried to have fun and pick some cool places we liked and hoped that it worked out. And there definitely were a lot of mishaps along the way. Like, I am not used to a focal length of 105. Like, I was very, very optimistic as to how much I'd be able to have in the frame for some of the locations. Like the first photo I posted of the theater, like that photo was supposed to look a lot better. But in my brain, I think I was using a 35, you know, but in reality, it's using a 105. And man,
yeah,
it was way different than I thought it'd be. So there were really some hurdles in terms of learning how to use the lens, but man, once you figure it out, it is so beautiful. It is so crisp. Though it is heavy, like the piece of glass in the front's like the size of my face. Like it lets in every ounce of light, every bit of detail. Like it was amazing using lens rentals. They were super fast. You know, got here a day early. I couldn't use it a day early, but it was here. Sadly, I couldn't autofocus anything with the FTZ adapter. I think the lens might need to be updated. I think they just need to attach to that Sigma updater and just update the firmware on it. But I manual focused everything because I couldn't get it to autofocus. So that was kind of a pain, manual focusing a lens that was like 20 pounds. But
dang, dude.
That was kind of annoying, but no, growing up, starting my career using fisheyes, which are all manual, like I was used to doing that. So I kind of just went back to the days where I couldn't afford autofocus lenses and only using manual focus lenses.
Wow.
So it worked out.
That must have been annoying.
Yeah, it's really annoying is it would find focus, but it would just keep racking forward and back, trying to find the one point in the autofocus point. Never turn green.
Yeah.
So I just gave up on it. I was like, I'm not even going to try. I'm not going to trust it because there were a lot of photos I had to scratch because the focus was off by just the tiniest bit. Yeah. And I knew people would notice, and I was noticing, and I knew this community would notice. So I was like, I'm not even going to risk it. Like,
yeah.
And I had a feeling that would happen, especially at 1.4. Like, man, your tip of your nose would be in focus, but your eye's not in focus. You know, if you're close enough.
Did you shoot all of your images at 1.4?
Definitely not. No, only a couple. Definitely only a couple. A couple I wish I would have shot at lower focal lengths without noticing it. On the Nikon, I think in the Nikon cameras, there's always a shooting mode where you're allowed to have like the preferences for when you turn it on, it has those exact settings. And I constantly forget to leave that. So a lot of times I'd open the camera, it was already at f4, and I would forget to
adjust
put it down to like f2, f2.2. This lens at like f2, 2.2 is amazing.
Tony, did you also shoot a lot at 1.4 or stay around that range?
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of mess around with it and see, you know, what it did at that focal length and stuff like that. And I think when we look at the shots, the shot of my dog, you'll see exactly what Scooter Dom was talking about. Her eyes are right in focus and her nose is out of focus. And I kind of like that sometimes. And I was just playing around with it. Some of the landscape ones I think were definitely farther out. And I think some of the ones with the other one I was at 4 or 5.6. I used a variety just to kind of test the lens and see where it was at.
Let's pull up the images. Oh, one last question.
Let's do
Scooter, one last question. So your wife is a photographer. Did she have fun with it? Did she get to play around with the Sigma 105?
Yep, Gavin. You know, the first location, which is the theater, like I was stressing. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't frame it correctly. Like it was interesting, and I was like, Gav, like, what would you do? Like this lens is so interesting. Like, where do we even try to stand, or how do we frame this? Like, what settings do we try to use here? Because it was definitely I threw ourselves at a harsh lighting scenario with a very large, structure behind her, and with Gavin the subject in it. So it was not an ideal place to learn how to use this lens, but we figured it out. It definitely helped to have her there. And I shoot Sony, but I've just been using her Nikon Z2 because I've just been drooling over it. It's so good. So I tried using that, and having her knowledge of that definitely helped. Using the camera specifically.
Who did we start out with last? It was Race a Fan last month. So we're gonna start out with Scooter this time. We'll start with Scooter, and we'll look at his images. Exclamation mark vote. You guys can vote on the images. You guys can see them there. Let me pull up Scooter's photos here, and then we'll put them on the big screen. Dun, dun, dun.
Let's get it.
All right, here we go. Here's all 5 of Scooter's images that he shot with the 105 Sigma R 1.4. Interesting. I was going to message you. Did you mean to choose all of the portrait-oriented images?
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I actually didn't shoot any of them landscape. I think there was like one test photo that was landscape. But everything was portrait this time around.
Man, I freaking love portrait. I love that portrait's getting so much love right now with like TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. I love that like media's going that way, because that's the way our phones are, right? These big, beautiful, gorgeous displays, to be able to display, photos like that. I think that is smart. I hope one day Instagram like kind of does that with their feed. Instead of the was it 4x5, 5x4 orientation for the portraits, they actually do the whole like 16:9. I don't know. Maybe we'll get there one day. But anyways, I love it. Glad to see it. We're gonna start with the first image here. We want to know the story behind it, all the good stuff.
Yeah, it was. I'm seeing now the inconsistent crops I have. I'm so bad at making sure I choose a consistent crop for all my photos. But this one specifically, so Gavin and I decided to just do all our photos in Boulder. We don't get up there often enough, so getting the chance just to drive up there and take some photos was amazing.
Yeah.
This Boulder theater, from our memories and from images we saw online, was a lot more green or teal. I think there was just, over edited images on it. So, we had planned out some outfits, and we actually were changing things on the fly. For this image specifically, we had an outfit, which you'll see later, which was from the Ben and Jerry's photo, where Gavin's wearing a much more casual outfit that you'd wear to go see a movie.
Dude.
And we had like popcorn, we had props to use that for this photo, but the colors didn't work. So we actually swapped things around, and we had this now photo of Gavin looking a little more old-timey swanky, like she's leaving a theater and running to catch a cab or running to get out of there for some reason.
Love it. And she's full on in the air. She's got
full
some
on
air
in the
time.
Yep. The which was another thing, was learning how to pose this kind of photo and get this action correct. There are tons of this photo, trying to get her expressions correct, her body movement correct, and also for Gavin to learn how to do this motion, because it's a wall to her left. It looks like it's open, but she's not actually running. It's really, she's like skipping forward and back, and flicking her coat up. Trying to do all of that at once and do it correctly for a photo was definitely a learning experience for both of us, and trying to figure out, one, for me, how to give focal direction on what's not working and working, and for her figuring out what actually is working and making it easier for herself for it to look correct.
That is a cool theater. It looks like there's a wedding or something, or they're like congratulating a couple.
Yeah. That was the only thing we didn't like about it. It definitely was used for like a wedding or something, and there was a message on it, which
Yeah.
it worked out. I thought about getting rid of it, but I thought it would look worse if I got rid of it. So I kept the green letters up there just to keep some more. This one is definitely the toughest one because it was also the first location with the lens, so getting used to it was part of it. It was fun though.
So this next shot, kind of in the same area. We got. Yep, I just noticed that's Ben and Jerry's. Cool.
Yep, just down the street. Did a quick outfit change. These outfits were supposed to be swapped. We were gonna in Boulder. There's the Pearl Street Mall, which looks like in the winter it looks like it's right out of like a snowboarding movie. It's so beautiful. Like in the summer even it's still beautiful. But we were just gonna take the outfit from the first photo and walk up and down this strip trying to find some graffiti or other shops that had a similar color palette. And we knew this Ben and Jerry's, and I was like, all right, easy. We'll swap to that location and take a photo near this Ben and Jerry's. Then in my head, I realized this focal length. I was like, how are we going to get a photo in the Pearl Street Mall with this focal length? I'm going to have to shoot across the whole thing, and there's hundreds of people walking around. Yeah. How is this going to work?
Wow.
So, we played it by ear. We went into Ben and Jerry's, cooled down. So
did you get ice cream?
We shared this one, but I was so like...
That's huge.
We got this one in there, and taking a break in my head, I was trying to figure out how do we pose this? And luckily this bench was outside, and we were able to get her to sit down and be able to see Ben and Jerry's in the back and have the sun, on her face. It was in the afternoon. We were hoping to get golden hour at the location afterwards, so we were playing it, doing it as fast as we could also, so we could get to the next location fast enough.
Yeah. Dude.
So
real quick, let me jump in. Yep. Z7 II, you shot these at full megapixel rate, or
these are medium.
Okay, so that's what medium, is that like 20s or?
Oof. How much? Let's see. I don't know the exact megapixel, but these files were also still massive. I mean, even the JPEG I sent you were almost 20 megabytes.
Because I was gonna say, dude, this thing like so sharp. Like zoomed in 100%, like so sharp and crisp and clear. It's pretty crazy.
And this was at f4.
Wow.
So at f4, like the ice cream cone and her face are all in focus. Enough. Yeah. It worked out at f4 for sure. Yeah. Anything less though, it would have been definitely incorrectly focused, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this was the medium setting. I know Gavin, doesn't always keep on the full setting, so keeping it medium, you definitely don't need the full setting unless you're doing things like astrophotography or landscape photography or things you need the detail way in the back of the photo. When you're doing up close like this, medium's just fine.
Is that coffee? Is that like Java chip or something like that?
It actually is. It's dairy-free coffee ice cream. You got it. Nice job.
I know my ice creams.
That means I got the color. The color is correct.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Oh yeah.
I got the colors correct, so you're able to see that. It was very tasty. Sadly, Gavin's a sneakerhead and wore these. These are
sneakerhead. Sadly, you don't like your stuff?
No. I think I phrased that wrong. She's a sneakerhead, but sadly, the ice cream cone, there was a sleeve on it, but we took it off of the photos.
Okay.
Her shoes. She got chocolate on her shoes. Sadly.
Oof. She took one for the team.
Took one for the team. But those are really cool Nike Air Force Ones. They're like what Space Jam themed Nike Air Force Ones. They're pretty cool.
Oh wow.
Also, if anyone can tell me how to get a photo, the best way to frame or model someone licking ice cream and have it look good, I'd fully appreciate that information.
I've never shot anyone eating ice cream. Tony, you ever shot anyone eating ice cream?
Say anyone eating, period. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Don't do it.
Yeah, even with weddings, you just gotta keep shooting and hopefully you gotta frame that looks good. Mikey says impossible.
It is impossible. But we tried. So this next photo, we had 4 locations picked out, and I was going to try to take photos.
Nuts.
Yeah, I was thinking of taking photos, like a random photo, trying to use the lens in a way it wasn't supposed to be used. But this photo was my favorite photo of the set. Definitely not the epitome of what the lens is supposed to be used for. But we had the space, and we had the depth of this area to get a photo of a person with a beautiful mountain and its peak in the background. And I had the space to do all of it. And you know, this is on a hill, so I was lower than her, so I had even more of an advantage to get that peak in the back. So like,
this is my favorite shot of yours too.
This is awesome.
Sure. I love this one.
Wow.
So much. And it was I edited this one the least also. Like I basically just made the mountains due to it was kind of a bluish goldish hour. They were kind of blue, so I made them more natural tone, made them a bit darker so the background wasn't so, you know, aggressive. Yeah. And I made the grass a little more glowy, so it was a little more ephemeral. Well, I think that's the word. But you know, it was super easy to frame this shot for me because this is the kind of photo I like to take personally. I'm not very good at taking up close portraits, but I love this one. This is definitely my favorite.
So in Colorado, there just feels like this on the side of the road. You can just jump out and go frolic, or what?
There are plenty of parks like this up against the mountain in up against the mountains in Colorado.
Yeah.
They're definitely not sparse. There are tons of them, and a majority of the land that's next to the mountains in Colorado are fields or you know, very brown, deserty type of feeling. Definitely not sandy, but you know, red dirt or brown grass. Not too much green here. And all the green, as you can see, is on the mountains because that's where a lot of the moisture ends up.
Yeah. So these apples are fake, correct?
We bought real apples.
Oh, the real?
So we
okay.
Yep, we've been eating them for breakfast.
They're pretty big, man.
You
got a ton of them.
We went to Costco and we got they were actually selling the Macintosh, the Honeycrisp apples. So that was a plus. Those are delicious.
I was looking at Honeycrisp last night at the grocery store. I ended up going with Envy or something like that. Supposedly really sweet.
But you know, anyway, we played some tricks with the photos. So we bought the buckets at a Michael's, and you know, instead of buying apples to fill them, we just bought foam to put in the bottom as spacers and just filled it up just enough to fill the top. So there's only like 4 apples or 3 apples in each one.
So real interesting. This is at f2.0, so you really had to nail the focus on this, and it seems like she's just a touch out. Was it kind of difficult with like all the blades of grass to like have to like sort through, like get behind her, or get to her?
I think what it really is this lens isn't good at focusing around this distance. It's not as crisp past like 10 feet away. I was noticing that. That's one of the reasons why I almost didn't choose this photo, because if your subject, in my last photo of that location, if the subject is too far away, everything is in focus, but it doesn't look nearly as crisp. It was hard to get it the right focus that I wanted. I think I was running it down to the lens because I couldn't even get at certain f stops. I couldn't get it to be the right focus that I wanted. So to me, I think it's in focus enough.
Yeah.
But like I said, these are all manual focus. So I was zoomed in on her face, focusing it.
I always forget that, bro. It's manual focus. Crazy. Is she in motion too, or does she just have her knee picked up?
She was probably standing in the same spot, kind of just like swaying her hips around and moving the buckets, and not really moving forward or back. That was one of the directions I was giving a lot, was don't step forward or back a whole lot because you'll leave focus instantly.
Yeah.
Because we can't autofocus, sadly. If it was autofocus, I would have had her like running up and down that field. We would have had some amazing shots. But
sick.
Sadly, had to be standing still.
Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, I love this look. I love the you know, how big the mountain and the landscape is compared to her. And with a lens like this, with the compression, freaking awesome. I love portraits with big landscapes with these types of focal length, because the compression really makes it look great. Good stuff. Any last thoughts?
Not on this one. No,
right.
I mean, the last thought about this location in general, it's in Chautauqua Park in Boulder, Colorado. And it is like the epitome of like the photo location in Boulder, Colorado. Everybody goes there. There were about 20 other photographers there doing senior photos or engagement shoots. Like,
no way. You would think you're there by yourself.
Exactly. And that was very difficult to find a spot that we liked that wasn't someone else's way, because the other photographers are like, oh, if I'm in your way, let me know. And I'm just like, very similar for us, but
Yeah.
the goal is to not have to have those conversations. Put yourself in a
Yeah,
spot where you're not in the way.
You got photographers checking out your equipment or what?
Always, especially with a lens that big, you look really professional. Like people
Nice.
were eyeing us up with that lens. It looked like
yeah.
I was about to doing magazine photos. Like I felt way more professional having it, but really my arm was just dying from carrying that camera around. So I didn't feel professional. I felt tired.
Yeah, you definitely. You ever been here, Tony? You've been to this? You know exactly this park he's talking about?
I don't. I mean, I lived in Southwest Colorado, but I have been to Boulder, and I've been to the mall the outdoor mall that he was.
Nice. All right, moving on to this next image. I'm assuming was
amazing.
Same spot, same location. This is a great
spot
portrait.
So what's funny is this photo specifically, Gavin was sent some rings to take some photos of, and this is near the end. She was like, "Oh, let's get some photos of these rings so I can just like have it done over with." And there's a photo. There's a portrait photo of this that I really liked. But with this being an f1.4 or whatever, I think it's f1.8 or 2, like the rings were totally in focus and her eyes were in focus a little bit. And I wanted to choose that photo so bad, but I couldn't because it wasn't in focus enough for this photo to be about her. And I didn't want to submit a photo that was just photos of rings on someone's hand. So I switched to this one where she's looking at me, and this was the closest I've ever gotten to doing like a portrait with this kind of lens or in this kind of scenario.
Yeah.
And the best part about it, the thing I love the most about it is having that background, seeing the ridge, and I would turn her and turn around more, and you'd see different fragments or things off of the ridge that were so beautiful. That really made the background amazing, in my opinion. It added a lot having that portion to it. I
mean, sorry, just the first thoughts that I had. I mean, it's in focus enough, I mean, Gavin has like such cool eyes. I'm sure you've got some cool shots of her eyes, like they're so blue and everything. It would have been good, but I think this photo still looks really great where the focus is at. But what I love so much about this is the bokeh of the background, and I love this this little half moon, and then you got the hat going this way, so it's kind of like playing into each other, and then you just got like this solid blue layer with like this solid golden mush that's what the bokeh is. And like I love that. That's what I love about this image the most, is the background. It looks great.
Yeah, and it was getting darker and darker, and these photos were getting darker and darker. So it was almost a must. I had to be a 1.4. Even that lens plus the Z2, I don't think I would have any noise even if I went to like 5,000 ISO. Not that I needed to here, but always keep an ISO as low as possible. But it was interesting editing this photo compared to the rest, because the rest was such harsh lighting with plenty of light.
Yeah.
Then it started getting darker in this photo, and it was interesting editing skin tones and her eyes in this photo because it was a little bit darker.
How dark was the raw in this?
Oh, it wasn't that dark. It was definitely was darker than the rest. Like the rest of them, like her skin was like, everything was so bright. And it came to this one, and it was like actually was a little dark.
I mean, you still have a lot of wiggle room. You're still ISO 120, 125, 1/800. I mean, yeah, you got plenty of
wiggle room.
Yeah. All right.
I just wasn't realizing enough.
Let's go to this next image.
This
one is the most interesting for me. Go for it.
Yeah. So the last image, we really wanted to do something at like a really fun fast food restaurant, and just, kind of have like a Sandra D type of feeling from Greece, and have fun with that. The one place we wanted to go was Sonic. Like every Sonic I think we've seen has a ton of neon, like blue and yellow neon or blue and red neon, and we really wanted to have that like a cool drive-in type of thing, or doing like a Dairy Queen with neon. But every single one we went to in this area had none of that. Absolutely
no lights or anything.
And like Boulder, we couldn't find any like ice cream joints that had neon like that. And the only ones we knew of were in Denver. And
Yeah.
you know, sadly, the ice cream shop we wanted to was, like it would have been too dark. It wouldn't have worked correctly, and we instantly thought of In-N-Out because we knew it was open. We knew there's tons of lights, and it was
Yeah.
really red. And we were kind of following through with this red, with black and red in this color palette because she had a red lipstick on. The bottom of her heels were red. So it definitely fed into that, and it worked out. It was definitely a last minute decision to come here, and it was a ton of fun. It was the most nerve wracking because it was the most people we were around.
Yeah.
And everyone's like trying to eat their burgers, and we're like taking photos with this giant lens while they're waiting for their burgers. And In-N-Out here is so new that people are waiting like an hour to half an hour to 2 hours for their food.
Jeez, bro.
So we waited like 25 minutes for ours.
Wow.
But so everyone's like sitting there anxiously waiting for their food, and then there's us who we have our food, and we're just like trying to take photos as fast as we can. But we had 3 or 4 poses planned out for this one. This was the best one. There were 2 really good ones. This one was one of my favorites, but there was one pose we really wanted, which was, you know, definitely more stepped back. We wanted to see the neon that goes on around the edge of all In-N-Out buildings. And it's when I learned my lesson of this lens that, you know, a lot of times when you're using when you're doing portraits, you'd have the subject sit between like 5 and 10 feet from the wall that they're standing in front of. And we followed that. But with this lens, like you need them to be really, really close for them to be the subject. If not, everything flattens. Like nothing, there's no depth anymore. The subject needs to be as close to you as possible with this sort of lens. So we couldn't use that one, sadly. But it was okay because this one kind of it had a better feeling to it. And, you know, between Gavin and myself, you know, definitely thinking a lot about this. This photo had a lot of character to it. Like, who is she waiting for? Like, did she get left behind? Is she doing something sketchy? Like, it instantly had a backstory to it. So we kind of had to go with it.
Dude, so this was all shot in a day, all the outfits and everything like that?
Yep. From like 2 p.m. till like 10 p.m.
Chat, can you show some love to Gavin real quick in the chat? That's awesome. So cool that she helped you with this and really made all these images come to life and awesome.
There she is.
There she is. Cool stuff. I like it, and I like the idea of it. Sad that you couldn't find any more like colorful type of neon. You know, I can imagine what it would have looked like with like an ice cream joint or even the Sonic neons and stuff like that. But I think you did good on the fly, and you definitely did a good job kind of like soloing her out, you know, and having her moment and stuff like that. Now you guys have all these images to use for, you know, I don't know, print them, put them on your wall, put on Instagram. Like, these are all good shots. So cool.
That last location had like 600 alone, and there were like 20 poses that looked so amazing that like it was very difficult to choose one. You know, Gavin and I had a hard time. I was reaching out to Alex a lot. I was like, Alex, I cannot choose what photos to use. Like, there are
the New
so
York
many
Times
here.
photographer. Gotta get advice from the New York Times photographer, man. Well, good stuff, man. Shot with the 105 Sigma art. I might have to try this out one of these days. You gotta. It's amazing. All right, Scooter, thank you so much for sharing your images. Of course. All right, Tony, you ready? All right, he's born ready. All right, chat, here are all 5 of Tony's images. Remember, if you're watching and you haven't voted yet, type in !vote, and you guys will be brought to our website page where you can see the images on your phone, your device, up close and personal. We're going to go through the images here on stream, and Tony's going to walk us through each image here. So let's go to the very first one.
So this is a good friend of mine. He rescues dogs on the regular, kind of trains them, and then tries to get them readopted out and whatnot. So this guy was a handful, and you know, we spent about an hour with him doing different things, trying to get different shots. And you know, I was really concentrating on the bokeh and just trying to kind of get sharp focus with the dog and that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of images that probably work for his purposes, probably not for this. This was really one of the more sharper images I got with both of them. Because like Dom was saying, just the distance was tough to try and keep them in the same focal plane and stuff. So but this, I liked it because I like the dog giving him a high five, and I kind of went for a fall edit. Probably if I was doing this professionally, I probably would have taken a little bit more time to make his skin tones a little bit more, but I kind of went with the creative end of it and just kind of went a little nuts. So so it came out nice. I liked it. His outfit kind of worked. He has that Duck Dynasty kind of feel to him. So, it kind of all worked.
I like the beard.
Yeah, he's very proud of that beard.
Says black animals are not easy to photograph. Did you have trouble in the post doing that in editing and
It was all right. I mean, I had some manual focusing going on with certain images that I'm not apparently as good as Dom as manual focusing. So I kind of threw them out because I didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're tough. The camera will search a lot more for it and stuff like that. But this guy had enough contrast in his fur and stuff, and at one point we did kind of throw him in the water. So that helped.
He looks is he wet right here? Like he was in the water in this?
He's a little wet there, yeah. This was a little later. This was kind of towards the end when he was being a little bit more
chill.
Reasonable with us and kind of yeah. So
I love the focus on this. I love the expression on the dog's face. I like the little bokeh circle lights there from the reflection from the water. I'm assuming that's water behind.
Yep.
Honestly, so my first thought, I was like, I'm not sure about the edit on this one, but after just looking at it and just hearing the direction you went with it, I do like the way it is. I like the way you edit it. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Time definitely played a factor in that. For portraits with people in it, I would have spent a lot more time editing this, but I just didn't. Unfortunately, I just didn't have that time.
Yeah, no, you did a good job.
So I took the creative approach.
Nice. All right, let's move to the second image again. Chat. If you look in the top left, you can see all the information there. 1/250, f2.0, and ISO 200. When I saw this in the images, when I downloaded them and I saw this, I was like, "This is sick." I haven't really seen this type of stuff from you, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is Disneyland Haunted Mansion vibes here.
Old type stuff like that. I definitely enjoy. Ghost towns. When I lived out in Colorado, I used to shoot a lot. And urban like cityscapes and stuff like that. Early in my photography career, I used to love trying to find, abandoned stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this place existed. Like I said, this is about 10 minutes from my house.
Wow.
And actually my friend that was going to model for me was the one who told me about it. And she was like, I got a really cool outfit we can do. That was kind of vintage and it would be a really cool theme. And unfortunately she had to cancel. She couldn't do it. We were supposed to do this Saturday.
Yeah.
After the dog shoot. And she just had family emergency come up. So this is kind of Jersey history right here. This is a canal town. The canals were kind of an early way that places would get stuff delivered. And, early in the frontier days, that's kind of where the towns kind of popped up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there's not many surviving. Most of them were kind of knocked down and modernized, but this little place they do weddings at and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Wow.
That they keep this stuff up and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
I like the details
I
up
really
here on
like
the roof.
this house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And working with those prime lenses and stuff like that for landscapes is definitely tough. You really have to plan out. I mean, if I was there with I refused to bring any other lens, Aaron, just
good,
because I knew if I brought any other lenses, I would have taken time to shoot with them, and I didn't want to do that. So
yeah, interesting on your stats, 1/45. So you had this on a tripod.
I did, yes.
Yeah, and f 5.6. I mean, it's so sharp, all the details of everything. Just only at f 5.6. ISO 200. So you had a lot of light still going. Yeah, good stuff. I like the image. I like the edit, and yeah, I mean,
I shot this at probably 4 different f-stops. To be honest with you, I have a bunch of different images.
How high did you go?
I think the lens caps out at 16.
Yeah.
So I think I do have an f16. I love to shoot my landscapes a lot at f11. I find that for some of my lenses, that's kind of where their sweet spot is.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd probably have like an 8 in there too, and then and I think I even shot this at 1.4 with the tree as the main focal and everything else blurred, but I didn't like it. It's kind of stupid.
This one could be fun though. You could have photoshopped like somebody in the window, or had fun with it like that.
This is Nebby. This is my my newish dog. She's about 2. And I have a ton of pictures of her, obviously. So I really wanted to push the 1.4 and kind of see what I would get out of that. And we did a bunch of stuff outside. We did a bunch of stuff down by the lake. I have a lake about a 2-minute walk from my house. And everything's kind of in shambles right now. So I wasn't crazy with what we got. So this is actually inside my house. And this is her basically asking me for dinner. I get this look
so cute
almost every night from her. Yeah. So I waited, and I had the kind of camera sitting there waiting for her. And yeah, I mean, I like it. I think I have some others at probably 2.4 and stuff like that I was trying different focal lengths. I really like the 1.4 look. I really got our eyes in focus.
Yeah.
And having everything else out of focus brings your attention kind of right to her eyes and stuff. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Man, the book on this is nuts, man. It's just so like mush and just smooth, and man, it's crazy.
Creamy.
Heck yeah.
Creamy. It is. Yeah, it is nice. It is definitely nice.
So good. I just want to hug her face right now. Just. I could totally see this one, Gav, in one of those Sarah McLachlan ads for abused pets or whatever it is, when you're watching TV late at night and it's like, in the arms of an angel. So good. And then it's just like panning slowly, and it's like all like monochrome sepia or something like that. I would donate. Another dog photo. Good boy. Give us the lowdown on this one.
Yeah, so this is from the same shoot with my buddy. And he was finally sitting there for us. I had a shot of him full body that like looked really good early on, a shot of him sitting there, but I missed focus on it. And I mean, it took us another half hour to get him even back in this spot. So it was, it just kind of worked. I liked the background. I liked the fall, feeling we had going for it. And just kind of his expression was kind of nice. So I liked it overall. It was kind of, for me, it was really the whole experience of the shooting with him, and we finally got him back into this position. Yeah. So I kind of stuck with it.
He's doing a good job sitting there by himself. I mean, like he's posed up so well. I like the image. I kind of wish that the eyes were like nailed on the focus there. But still, it's a really good.
Yeah,
I like the composition a lot, though. I really do. This tree in the background with like the orange leaves and the color of this this, what do you call it, a fence. What's interesting, are these are these hockey stick shafts or what?
They are, yes, they are. They use the lake as like a hockey pond.
Oh, when it freezes.
Like
oh,
that.
sick.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it was kind of an environmentalist type portrait for them.
Yeah.
This is their private lake that they belong to and stuff like that. So, I mean, I really like the colors too. I thought it came out nice. I mean, I definitely wish his eyes were a little bit more in focus. I just didn't think, I thought in the end it didn't take too much away from it. So
from seeing Scooter's and yours, I know we got one more photo to go already. I'm like keeping tabs on this lens because the way that it makes the background look so interesting and creamy, like from the portrait of Gavs with like the way the colors looked, and then that the 1.4 with the dog, and then this one. I'm really loving it, and I'm interested. Like, I want to see what it can do with other types of backgrounds and colors and stuff. Because it's really like you got the circles here, you got like this whole mesh going here with these dark blues and purples and more red. Like, I really love it, and I love that it's like broken up with this very structured, rigid fence here. On to the last image. What's going on here, man?
Well, so this is probably one of my more favorite ones. Because this is kind of obviously what I tend to shoot.
Yeah.
So, framing is always obviously really important, and I liked the foreground from that branch kind of blurred.
Yeah.
I mean, this lens. I mean, it was just incredible. I played around a lot with that at this spot. And this was kind of the one shot that really stuck out. I feel like it was, the branch was lit nicely, but it wasn't overdone. I mean, I was here about an hour before sunset. So I did have some strong sun here and there, but it was coming and going. So a lot of the times with the shots, I was trying to do foreground stuff like this, it was getting blown out or whatever. Yeah. So this kind of everything hit perfectly. I like the depth of field. Obviously, I don't shoot a lot of landscape at 1.4. And that was kind of the cool part of utilizing this lens for landscape stuff, was to kind of see, I mean, shooting it at f11 kind of was like, all right, what's the point? I mean, I can do that with any of my lenses. So when I found this bridge or whatever this thing was at some point, it was really, it kind of came to me that the depth of field would really work well with it. So, so it came out nice, and it really, it helped kind of show the strengths of the lens in a landscape versus portrait type of way.
Question. So what is your thinking behind selecting your focus point here versus like the bridge that's kind of submerged in the water? Like, what was your thinking on that?
I liked I liked showing kind of what it was and what it did have a use for versus what was destroyed. Kind of the time, right?
Yeah.
So the bridge still standing shows what worked, and then the kind of whatever the destructive out of focus stuff is what is gone and kind of being reclaimed by nature.
Yeah, I like that. I was just asking. I thought it was interesting. I was thinking, what would I choose as my focus point? I feel like my automatic would always be, I don't know. I always think of like left to right, and I probably would have started out focusing on what was destroyed versus like what's still standing. Because the way you've got this composed and everything, you've got the top third here, with the with the separation between the water and the land, I guess, and then you've got the focus right here on the right intersection. So, you know, very textbooks with the focal point. So I just wanted to see what your thinking was, and I like that. I never thought of that, seeing what was before versus what's being reclaimed by nature. Another thing about, yeah, of course, about this image is I mean, the colors are fantastic, very, very yellow, very vivid. I feel like it's very vivid because of also the sunlight. Like, I feel like the raw, like a lot of these yellows, or maybe even just greens that are blasted with the sunlight. Is that what's going on too?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of waiting for some light to come in, because this was in the majority of this was in the shadows as I was kind of setting up and waiting and stuff like that. And I mean, I as the clouds were kind of moving and the sun was coming in, I was taking a bunch of different shots. And I like how the light that came in here kind of highlighted the background there with the leaves and stuff. So
was it windy?
Yes and no. It wasn't terribly windy, but there was definitely some movement going on.
What I would not saying, you know, none of you guys captured good images. What I'm saying is, I would have loved to see what this lens could capture. Like imagine that like golden field, Dom, with wind blowing it back and forth at like a 1.4 and seeing what the background would have looked like. Or even this, like seeing like the trees going back and forth with like the creaminess of the bokeh. That'd be something really cool to see. Cause like I'm already looking, you can see all the little bubbles and everything from the leaves and stuff. It's just like gorgeous. Like Gav said, it looks like a painting. Maybe that's why they call it art, right? An art series lens, you can create some fantastic art looking images with this lens. Tony, can you throw this in like a mat and then put on the bottom like perseverance and then the definition? It looks like one of those images, like teamwork, and then the description at the bottom.
Right.
There you go, chat. Here are the 5 images from Tony. Well done, sir. Good stuff. For everyone else who's just coming in, this is our exhibition stream. We've got Tony and Scooter on, who both rented the Sigma R105 lens, and they had it for a weekend and they got to shoot with it, and they sent in their favorite 5 images, and we're putting it up to a vote. If you go to our website, you can see the thing. Hold on, sorry. Let me switch to the overlay again. There's the lens, and here's Scooter and Tony and their images. So guys, check them out on your phone, look at them up real close, and we want you guys to vote on which set of images you liked the best. Both of them, Scooter and Dom. What did I say? Scooter and Dom? Scooter and Tony did an awesome job. So thank you guys for participating and freaking doing this. I'm gonna check the votes right now and see where we're at. But I guess we can start with you, Scooter. I mean, overall, how was your experience? I know this is your second time here, but how was your experience and all that good stuff?
It was a great experience. Going against Tony, who is a very well-rounded photographer. I was a little stressed, but I went through with it, just trying to have fun, not worrying about it being a competition. I'm way too competitive myself, so
yeah,
we try to have fun with it and getting to use a new lens. Like, I've used so many wide-angle lenses, getting the chance to use one that's not wide that is good. A lot of times, a lot of these zoom lenses or prime or high focal length lenses are older, or they're cheap, or they're not as good. So getting to use one that was really nice was a pleasure, and having that privilege was incredible. But it was a wonderful experience. Editing these photos was a different type of experience, because it's so focused on one thing that to make sure editing it correctly. And at the end of it all, seeing we had very different photos, which was like amazing. Having a lens that it's specific in some ways and not in other ways. Like, I wanted to take it and go to some buildings and just take photos of the corners of them to see you know, at certain perspectives, how it would look and how different it look, and just trying to use it differently. And I don't even know how, Tony, I don't know how you got the photo of that house. Like, I don't know how far away you were. I don't know how you got it to frame it so perfectly, because I would have not had patience for that with that lens specifically. So kudos to you on that. That was my favorite one, by the way, of the house. It was such an amazing photo. I don't know how you did that one, because I would have given up on that one very quickly, because it's that lens was so difficult to frame with. But it was a wonderful experience. Thanks for having me again. Definitely luck with the draw, but I'll take
know.
Take a look.
Good stuff. Tony, how was your experience, man?
I enjoyed it. You know, I definitely I was a little upset I didn't get to do more of the portraits that I kind of wanted to, and kind of challenge myself in that regard.
No, I'm from the Harpy. I don't know you, and you don't know
but
me.
Overall,
but
it was nice to kind of have a different reason. I mean, I've been doing so much astro and that kind of stuff these days that it was nice to kind of do some portraits for my buddy and do some pics of my dog and stuff. So I really enjoyed it. I saw Dom's stuff the last exhibition, so I knew I kind of had to bring my A game. Definitely. And it was, you know, it's tough because this is, you know, we're creating art, but at the same time you're competing and that kind of stuff. So your mind can easily play tricks on you.
Yeah.
And I think after the second model canceled on me, I just kind of I just said screw it and kind of went out and, you know, just tried to shoot what I enjoy. And I think it paid off. I'm happy with the images. Dom, I'm glad you like that building. I was very far away from that building. So, you know, it helps you kind of look at your photography in a different way as well. You know, and I enjoyed shooting landscapes and stuff with, you know, long focal lengths out in Colorado, but you're looking at mountains that are 13,000, 14,000 feet high, as opposed to here, you know, being in a condensed area and having to look at the shot and know how to frame it and stuff like that. Like Dom's right. It's not easy when you're dealing with that kind of focal length. So I appreciate the experience. And I love that you do all this stuff, Aaron, and I love being a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed yourselves. And I love doing things like this, you know, as a photo community. And you know, like you said, you know, on one instance you're creating art, and it's hard to judge art because it's so subjective, and you don't want to step on people's feelings, because as artists we take it so personal because we put so much effort into it. I mean, look at all the effort that Gav put in to the images that Scooter did, and then, you know, Tony, all the effort that he put in with his models that canceled and all that stuff. Like, I mean, you guys, chat, I mean, you guys don't realize, like, these guys put in time, they put in hours, they gave their days to doing this. So I just want to thank you guys for your efforts and participating in something like this, because I mean, it's not something that like provides you financial benefit or anything like that, but it's a fun experience for you guys to grow, to use a lens that you've never used before, to use a great service like lens rentals that maybe some of you guys aren't aware of. You know, I remember when I discovered them and I was like, dude, these guys make it so simple to rent and it's so cheap, you know, because we look at the price of lenses and stuff like that. I mean, look at the price of this lens. This is what, like $1,500? And it's like, I would never use that. But, you know, I think the price overall was what, like 60, 70 or something to use for a weekend.
I think after all of it, even with the TLDA 15 code, it was like $80. I think it was like $5 out of pocket after the $75 gift card. So I mean, that's not bad for a weekend for a $1,500 lens. Like if you're shooting a Saturday wedding or a Sunday wedding, like,
oh yeah, I mean,
that's amazing.
If you book a wedding for like $3,000, you spend the $80 for a week. I mean, that's
exactly.
It's going to be well worth your investment, because That's what I'm thinking about, bro, is to have beautiful wedding portraits with that creamy bokeh in the background. Like, exactly, that's what I'm thinking and stuff. So, and what's cool about this segment of our show is to be able to look at these lenses that we've never used before and be like, oh, I wonder what it's like to use that lens. And hey, let's get 2 people to go out and shoot for a weekend with that. So it's been awesome. And I gotta say to Lens Rental, thank you. You know, this has been experimental. You know, they're taking a chance on us because they're investing their rental credit stuff with us, and we're by no means any huge viral freaking YouTube community like some other people out there that I'm sure they would love to work with. But I think that the sincerity of your guys' participation, our community, our chat, I want to thank you guys for being interested in this and making this happen. So, so good. Regardless of who wins, guys, I appreciate your guys' participation, all your efforts, all the time that you put in. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lens Rental. Thank you for providing our grand prize winner prize, the $150 gift certificate. And chat, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Give it up for Mr. Tony Corrado! Woo!
Congrats!
Mr. Truevisionphotos!
Congratulations!
Take a bow! Take a bow!
Thanks, guys.
Congratulations!
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well done. Well done. I like.
Thank you, everybody.
They were incredible photos. Well worth. Well worth.
Heck yeah.
I don't know, Dom. If I'm honest, Dom, I kind of would have voted for you.
Did you vote for him?
I thought you. I didn't vote. I wasn't. So I was gonna. I was gonna vote. I honestly would have voted for Dom. I'm not.
In these things, I always vote, but I always vote for the other party. You did a wonderful job. Well worth the win. Congrats. Yeah, everyone knows I'm out to get to, you know, challenge Alex. Alex and I both want to use certain lenses. We've though Alex and I are friends, like we would definitely probably be coercing the whole time anyways, helping each other. But
yeah,
you know, I'm always happy to be here, happy to compete.
Tony, any final thoughts, man? How's your experience with everything?
It was great. It was great. I mean, I really enjoyed it. Like I said before, man, I appreciate you doing this kind of stuff. I think it's great for creatives to kind of get out and be competitive in this and think about their work in a different way. So I really enjoyed it. And I can't thank you enough. Dom, man, honestly, I'm not kidding. I would have voted for you. So I appreciate the competition, and you know, I think you'll have third time's a charm for sure.
Well, here they are, guys. Your 2 participants in the exhibition, Scooter Dom and Truevisionphotos. Thank you guys so much for participating, and hope to see you again participating in the future. And with that being said, guys, thanks for being on stream this morning with us. It's an honor for you guys to be here doing this with me, so thank you.
It was an honor. Thank you so much.
All right.
Here, man.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye here. I'm going to switch overlays. Tony, Scooter, go stretch your legs. Go enjoy the day. And I'll see you guys later, all right?
GG's. Bye.
See you guys.